Difficulty making decisions. That's one of the symptoms of having an RTS, the trauma of leaving a religion. It's not an easy thing to do because when you were a Jehovah's Witness, guess what? Your decisions were actually quite simple. They were not easy to make because there were consequences of those decisions. But to be honest, it was not difficult to make those decisions because of few factors. Number one, you knew exactly who you are. You had the answer of where you come from, where you are today, and where you're going. And with those answers and knowing your identity, it was easy to make right or wrong decisions because whatever was aligned with your identity as a witness, if it was aligned with it, it was a good decision. If it was not aligned with it, chances are it was a bad decision. So it didn't really matter how small of a decision that was. It could have been what kind of a car to buy, two-door sports car or a four-door sedan. There is no sin for buying a two-door sports car, but we all know that would not be a wise decision for Jehovah's Witness because of the gentle consequences of that decision, right? Because you would not be aligned with who we are as people and what is our main purpose. Now, there were many decisions that Jehovah's Witnesses were making through those lenses of Jehovah's Witnesses and their purpose. So, which school they go to, whether they take any additional schooling or university or college afterwards, is their choice when it comes to a marriage partner, right? First question, is this person a Jehovah's Witness? Is he baptized a Jehovah's Witness? Is he in good standing? Is he a pioneer? Does he have privileges in the congregation? Why yes, why not? Right? Those decisions, life-changing decisions, okay, were always through the lenses of Jehovah's Witnesses. Is this decision is going to help me to serve Jehovah better? Right, and this is why making decisions for Jehovah's Witnesses were easy because majority of the decisions was actually made for them, except one. Truthfully, except one, and that's blood fractions. I remember myself. I was given this assignment to explain blood fractions and why it is a personal decision and why everybody has to make their own choice regarding those things. And to be honest, people were completely lost, completely lost. They're like, okay, so I could take it, or no, I shouldn't take it. And at the end of my talk, everybody was more confused than at the beginning of my talk. To be honest, so was I. There's a lot of stuff that they're telling us, it completely didn't make sense. But I'll make a video about this separately. But this is the thing. Everything as a Jehovah's Witness was given to us on a silver platter. We didn't have to do much thinking, especially critical thinking. It was all given to us and said, this is good, this is bad, this is moral, this is immoral. If you do this, you might have a little conversation with the elders. If you do that, you're going to have 3 elders and you're going to have to face judicial committee. I mean, we had it all spelled out and it was easy to make those decisions. We knew what was upbuilding, what was not upbuilding, right? Tons of things. Who's going to be your friend? Who's not going to be your friend? All those things were detailed, spelled out for us. But when you leave and when you're experiencing trauma because of leaving, it is much harder to find out what you want to do with your life and how to make those decisions. You're going to have to make tons of decisions. As a matter of fact, because you're leaving, there is multiple of decisions that people made while growing up. But now you're leaving the decision. You have to make tons of decisions. Who's going to be your friend? Because you lost a lot of them. Maybe you lost your employment because you're working for a witness, or you were in Bethel, or you were a full-time pioneer. Where are you going to work? Who are you going to date if you're single? Right? Who's going to be your friend? What career you're going to go for? Who you're going to spend time with? All those decisions. Some of them are small. Some of them are major. How do you make them now? What's going to be your compass? Previously, they would say, oh, it's Bible was my compass, but truthfully it was more of what the governing body would say was your moral compass and what to do, what not to do. But how do you determine this now? Well, first thing is you're going to have to learn how to trust yourself. Okay. There's something called a gut feeling. So I'll walk you through 4 questions that can help you to determine, okay, how to make a good decision. Number 1 is, does it feel good? Does it feel good? Because we were told not to rely upon our own understanding. Do not trust your heart is treacherous. But there's something in our gut that we actually feel that it's has everything to do with the intent of the other person. And I know you felt it many times. You just had to squish it down. As somebody comes to your door, right? They knocks on your door and they're starting talking to you. Beautiful flowers. Look at this beautiful weather. It's such a gorgeous day. You know you're very well they're not there to talk about flowers and the gorgeous day that we have. They are priming you to prepare you for whatever it is that they're selling. We as witnesses did the same thing. So people feel it inside, like, oh no, this person is not 100% honest. They're here for a reason. And I can feel it in my gut that this is not why they're here. And people felt it. That's why one of the reasons why so many Jehovah's Witnesses are completely not effective at the door, because they're simply not honest about what they're doing. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about this gut feeling? Listen to it, because it has been squished for so many years. But I know you have it. We all have it. Trust it. How does it feel? And I'm not talking about, oh, I'm eating sugar so it feels good, therefore I can eat as much as I want. Because that's a child thinking, right? You give a child ice cream and they will eat it from early morning till late at night. But how does it feel in your gut? Is it aligned? Do you feel that it resonates with you? Okay. And you will feel sometimes very uncomfortable, and it will shake you sometimes when you feel like, I'm exceeding my comfort level. And a lot of you, I know, especially women, they have this intuition. Okay. The guy didn't even say anything. And they're like, this guy is creepy. I don't want to even go near him. And they have this inside, right? They're feeling like something is not right here. I don't feel safe. They can sense that intuition, that intent, that there's something wrong here, right? And listen to it. It's extremely important to learn how to listen to it, because it will protect you in so many ways you have not even idea, right? But it was squished because, like, oh, you know what? Just listen to what we're telling you. Listen to what's approved. Listen to the channel of communication. If Jehovah is trusting the channel, why aren't you trusting the channel? You should be trusting the channel. You don't rely on your own understanding, and that's why you didn't trust yourself. First, how does it feel? Second, is it good for you? Is it good for you? That's the second question. A lot of times we feel like, oh, it feels good, but truthfully, maybe it's not good for you. Maybe it feels good to sit and watch TV all day long, but is it really good for you? So ask yourself that question. Is it good for me today? Is it good for me tomorrow? What I mean by that is, does this activity that you're about to do, or decision you're about to make, will that improve the quality of your life? Will that improve your well-being? Okay. Third question, is this good for others? So you're thinking about, how do you feel about it? Second, is it good for you? And third, does it improve the quality of life for other people? And when you think about it, your decisions, whatever it is, will have an impact on others, especially those who are in your closest circle, the people in your household. Is it good for them? And sometimes we feel like, you know what? I know I'm right because I'm logical, and my wife is all emotional and she's not thinking critically, and I know the truth about the truth and she's not thinking as she's supposed to, and we're pushing our agenda, our thinking, our understanding on the other person. And guess what? We get the backfire effect when they're trying to prove that we are wrong, and there is this happening at home. And sometimes you got to stop and think about it. What's more important? Is it more important to be right, or is it more important for me that they're happy? Is it more important for me to be in love, or to prove that they're wrong? And it's not a fair choice. But when you think about it, when you care about other people, there are people that you truly love and care about, you got to ask yourself, what is more important? Is it more important that they're happy, or is it more important that I prove them wrong? And it's not a fair choice sometimes, but you got to ask yourself the question: does my action, does my decision will improve the quality of life for others? And the fourth question: does it serve a greater purpose? Not everything will serve a greater purpose, but it's a deep question to ask, because we might align ourselves with something that is so meaningful, so big, that it will serve people who are maybe not even born yet. Right? There are people who are trying to figure out how to save our environment, or how to reduce the pollution, or to reduce our garbage, or the impact that we will make on this planet for thousands of years to come. That is a great purpose, right? That people will try to, let's say, start a charity, and they trying to think about how this will impact people in decades to come, right? So try to figure it out. If you have very quick decision to make, and there's only one question that will pop into your head, and you don't have time to go through all four, think about this one thing. What is your ideal outcome? What is your ideal outcome? I remember that one question alone saved me so much trouble, because I was going from one location to another and thinking, oh, maybe this, maybe this. What is your ideal outcome? Do this while you're arguing with somebody. You're arguing with your wife or your spouse, and in the middle of that argument, just ask yourself that one question: what is my ideal outcome here? And I bet you any money, very quickly, the argument will end, because you see that you're not going closer to your outcome, you're going further away from what you're trying to achieve. I remember myself when I was arguing with my neighbor. She got me upset, and we we're arguing back and forth, right? And she like called the city on me and stuff, like older lady that, that was trying to prove that everybody's wrong and she's the only one right. And I'm arguing with her, and I know I'm right, and I know she's wrong, but at the bottom of my heart, I'm like, what's the ideal outcome here? I'm thinking, well, the ideal outcome is to make friends with my neighbor, to be on good terms, not to prove her wrong. And in the middle of the argument, I switched my energy towards her, and we actually made peace. What is the ideal outcome? And believe me, you're going to start making decisions that will be much better for you and others if you just think of that one question. But here's the decision that most Jehovah's Witnesses will have to make when they're PIMOs, when they woke up and they're trying to figure it out. Should I stay? Should I go? And there's almost no win-win situation here, right? You know there will be losses when you make the decision. And I thought of it for the longest time. Should I write the letter of disassociation and cut myself off, or should I stay? Should I pretend? And it wasn't an easy decision. But then I thought about this: what is the ideal outcome here? And I realized, well, the ideal outcome is that I want to be happy. And I knew there's no way that I can be happy, especially long term, staying in a religion that I don't support, I don't believe in. It's impossible. And I wanted also my wife to be happy and my kids to be happy. And I realized at the beginning, for as long as they believe it, they could be partially happy, but in the long term, it will hurt them. So I did whatever I could to help them see it, but I also accepted the fact that they could stay there. If my wife didn't wake up and she stayed as a witness, I would have accepted her and I would have loved her for who she is, because it was more important for me that she's happy than for me to prove her wrong. What is the ideal outcome? And here's something interesting. If you think you only have one path, then there is no decision to make, because you only have one path. If you have two paths, then you have a dilemma, because you're like, you go to the left or you go to the right, and you're switching right, left, and you don't know what to do. And some people stay on the fence for a very long time because they're so afraid of going one direction or the other, because they know if they go to the left, there will be a pain. And if they go to the right, there will be a pain. And they don't know which pain will be bigger. I would say this: start walking one direction. Start walking one direction. At least you're going to do something. And if it's a wrong decision, you will find out much quicker than if you're sitting on the fence, not making a decision. Start walking one way, and then you will know If you was in the right direction, you switch to the other one. But if you sit on the fence and you have this dilemma, then you will never know. So I even tell people who are on the fence, PMOs, like, if you don't know, okay, and you don't know whether to go one way or the other, then stay as a witness. Stay as a witness, okay? And if it's too painful for you, then you can always leave. But if you write the letter of disassociation, switching back might be very tough. If you simply fade away, walk away, don't say anything to anybody why you're leaving, then if you feel you made the wrong decision, you can very quickly reverse it. You just start going back, and that's it. So making a decision and following through on that decision, it's always a lot better than sitting on the fence and thinking, oh, what if this, and paralyzed with fear, because your life will never move forward. And the most cherishable thing that we have in life is time. And if we can't make a decision because we're too afraid of the losses that we will have to face, then we're killing our time, and the time will never come back to us. So hopefully that helps, and we'll talk about next symptom of religious trauma on the next video. Thanks for watching.